The year is 1456. Europe is finished. 3 years ago, Constantinople fell. The queen of cities, jewel of Christendom for 1,000 years, drowned in Ottoman blood. Her walls shattered beneath the largest cannons ever forged. Her churches became mosques. Her people became slaves. The last Roman emperor died sword in hand on the battlements, and with him died the dream that the East could hold. Now the conqueror comes north, Sultan Mehmed II, 24 years old, brilliant, ruthless, hungry for immortality. He has sworn to plant the crescent banner on every church from the Bosphorus to the Rhine. Constantinople was merely the beginning. Now he turns his gaze toward the gateway to Europe itself, Belgrade, the fortress on the Danube where 3 rivers meet. If Belgrade is taken, Hungary lies open. If Belgrade is lost, Vienna is defenseless. If Belgrade falls, the road to Rome is paved in Christian blood. And Mehmed is coming with the largest army the continent has ever seen. 100 men march north. 30 Janissaries who have never known defeat. 20 Sipahi cavalry. 50 siege engineers and irregulars, and the guns 300 cannons, including the monster that shattered Constantinople, firing stones weighing 200 lb. The Ottoman fleet sails up the Danube, 200 ships carrying siege towers taller than cathedral spires. The river itself seems to bow beneath the weight of empire. Across Europe, kings prayed in silence, but none sent men. The Holy Roman Empire is fractured. France schemes in the shadows. The Italian states bicker over trade routes. The Pope calls for crusade, but his words echo in empty halls. No army is coming. Belgrade stands alone inside the fortress. Fewer than 700 soldiers prepare to die. The walls were relics of another age when swords, not cannons, decided empires. Their commander is John Hunniadi, 68 years old, the White Knight of Wallachia, a warrior who has spent his entire life fighting the Ottoman tide. He has won battles that should have been impossible, but he has never faced an army like this. Beside him stands Giovanni di Capistrano, 70 years old, a Franciscan monk with a voice that could wake the dead and a faith that burns like wildfire. He has traveled across Europe, preaching holy war, gathering peasants and farmers, men with no armor and less training. Men who believe prayer is stronger than steel. Together they lead perhaps 30 souls against the greatest army on earth. 10 Ottoman soldiers for every defender, 100 Ottoman guns for every Hungarian cannon, the finest warriors of the East against farmers who have never held a sword. Every map, every mind already marks Belgrade as lost, but John Hunniadi and Giovanni of Capistrano understand something that numbers cannot measure. That when darkness masses at the gates, good men don't ask for mercy. They build it from courage. The army that darkened the horizon, the army, is so immense it takes 4 hours to cross the plain. Mehmed sits in his silk pavilion and watches his engineers position the great guns. He is patient. Time and firepower will do the work. He has already divided Hungary in his mind, planned the mosques that will rise where churches now stand. He does not look at the fortress. He does not see the banners flying defiantly from the ramparts. He does not imagine anyone would be foolish enough to resist the man who conquered Constantinople. All of Europe watched the river burn and believed Belgrade would fall. The question was not if, only when, but inside those ancient walls as the first Ottoman cannon roared to life. The defenders did not fall to their knees in despair. They fell to their knees in prayer, and Giovanni of Capistrano raised his cross to the sky and spoke words that would echo through history. We are the few, but God does not count in numbers. The guns begin their work at dawn on July 4th. The sound is like the end of the world. 300 Ottoman cannons firing in rotation. a continuous thunder that shakes the earth and splits the sky. The great bombard fires once every hour, each stone ball carving chunks from the fortress walls. Inside Belgrade, the world becomes noise and smoke and prayer. Buildings collapse, church towers fall, the river gate shatters on the third day, an entire bastion disappears. On the fifth, the defenders work through the night, rebuilding faster than the enemy can destroy. They pile rubble behind breaches. They drag cannon into position and fire back with everything they have. But for every Ottoman gun silenced, 10 more roar. Still they hold. John Hunyadi is everywhere at once, his white hair stained with powder smoke, his voice rising above the cannon fire. He walks the walls like a ghost, refusing to die. He patches breaches with his own hands. He stands in the open while Ottoman guns target him, daring the enemy to take him down. His mere presence is a shield. The soldiers see him and remember that courage is not the absence of fear. It is the refusal to let fear write the ending. Beside him walks Giovanni of Capistrano, the old monk who should be safe in a monastery. Instead, he moves through the chaos like a man possessed by holy fire. He preaches in the streets while cannonballs scream overhead. He carries a crucifix into the battle zones while Janissaries fire arrows at him. The defenders think he is mad. Then they think he is a saint. Then they stop thinking and simply follow, because when a 70-year-old monk refuses to flee from death, how can a young soldier justify running? Capistrano's sermons are wildfire. They speak of Constantinople burning, of churches defiled, of Christian children sold into slavery, of a darkness that will not stop at Belgrade unless it is stopped here by us, by the few who refuse to let evil win without a fight. His words find fertile ground. The peasants who came with him become soldiers through sheer belief. They dig trenches beside knights. They stand watch with nothing but wooden clubs in absolute conviction. Knights who would normally sneer at such rabble fight shoulder-to shoulder with them, because Belgrade is dying and class distinctions matter less than breath when the world is ending. Week by week, the walls crumble, the outer defenses fall on July 14th. Inside the city, smoke clings to the wells. The air tastes of iron and rot. The youngest cough until they cannot. Yet still they fight. Beyond the river, Mehmed's camp glows like a city. Traders arrive, poets sing as if victory were already written. His engineers have nearly completed the siege works. His miners are digging beneath the main gate. His fleet controls the river. He has sent word to Istanbul that Belgrade will fall before August. Mehmed dines on lamb and fruit, while Belgrade starves. He is 24 years old and has never lost. He does not believe he can lose. He does not imagine that faith could be stronger than firepower, that courage could outlast calculation, that a handful of desperate men could break the army that broke Constantinople. But in the fortress, as July bleeds toward its end, something shifts. The defenders no longer fight to survive. They fight because it is what they were born to do. John Hunyadi issues a simple order. We will not surrender. We will not retreat. If we die standing. If we live free. There is no middle ground. The Janissaries mass for the final assault. Mehmed has ordered the attack for July 21st, dawn. His officers assure him the fortress will fall by noon, that by sunset the crescent banner will fly over the Danube. On the night of July 20th, Giovanni of Capistrano gathers the defenders, 7 zeros, 0 soldiers who look like ghosts, 20 peasants who should have fled weeks ago. They stand in the ruins of their city and listen to an old monk tell them they are going to win because God does not abandon the faithful. Because evil has limits that good does not share. They were outnumbered 10-1, but faith does not count in numbers. And at dawn on July 21st, the walls of Belgrade shook with the sound of Ottoman war drums. The final assault had begun. Final assault, July 21st. 1456, the day the world held its breath. At dawn, the Ottoman guns fall silent. After weeks of constant bombardment, the sudden quiet is more terrifying than noise. In that silence, the defenders hear something worse. Drums, tens of thousands of drums beating as one. The war rhythm of the Janissaries, the sound that has preceded the fall of 100 cities. Then the horns, long mournful calls that echo across the Danube. The Ottoman army begins to move. 30-0. 0-0 Janissaries in perfect formation. Behind them, 20-0. 0-0 irregulars with scaling ladders and siege towers. Behind them, the Sipahi cavalry waiting to ride down anyone who flees. They advance like a tide, inevitable, unstoppable. Inside Belgrade, the defenders watch them come. 7 zeros, 0-0 soldiers, their armor battered, their eyes hollow from exhaustion. 20 zeros, 0-0 peasants armed with farm tools and faith. They stand on walls that are more rubble than stone. John Hunniadi walks the ramparts one last time. Today, we do not fight for kings or kingdoms. We fight for the simple truth that darkness cannot be allowed to win. Hold the walls, hold your faith, hold your ground. If we fall like thunder. If we stand forever. The Janissaries reach the breaches at 0-6 hours. They pour through gaps in the outer wall like water through a shattered dam. The defenders meet them with everything they have. Arrows and boiling oil and stones dropped from above. The fighting is hand to hand, blade to blade, breath to breathe. Giovanni of Capistrano stands in the central square, his crucifix raised high. He is not praying for victory, he is commanding it. In the name of Christ, stand. In the name of the cross, fight. In the name of all that is holy, do not yield. Around him, peasants throw themselves at Janissaries who have never lost. Farmers with scythes against professional killers with scimitars. Because courage is contagious. Because when old men refuse to run, young men find strength they did not know they had. The Janissaries capture the river gate. The defenders counterattack and take it back. The Ottomans breach the north wall. Hungarian knights plug the gap with their bodies. A siege tower reaches the ramparts. Peasants with torches set it ablaze. For 3 hours the battle rages. The smoke is so thick men fight blind. The streets run red. Church bells ring constantly calling the faithful to hold, to stand, to fight one more minute. The defenders are being pushed back inch by inch. The Janissaries are too many, too skilled, too relentless. The miracle at Belgrade. By mid-morning, the Ottomans control a third of the fortress. Maimed watches from a hill. He is smiling, he has won, but inside Belgrade, Giovanni of Capistrano does something insane. He gathers every peasant who can still stand. Perhaps 10-0 men. He raises his cross and marches toward the breaches, not to defend, to attack. The Janissaries see them coming. A mob of farmers and monks screaming the name of Christ. It should be suicide. Instead, it is a miracle. The sheer audacity breaks something in the Ottoman advance. The Janissaries hesitate just for a moment, just long enough. John Hunniadi sees the opening. He gathers his remaining cavalry, perhaps 500 knights. He charges anyway through the shattered gates into the Ottoman formations. The Hungarian cavalry smashes into the Janissaries from behind, while Capistrano's mob attacks from the front. The Ottoman line, which has never broken, begins to crack. A few soldiers turn to flee, then entire units waver. Panic spreads faster than courage. The defenders surge forward, knights and peasants together. History starts to shift beneath their feet. The Janissaries are retreating, running, and into that storm rides Sultan Mehmed himself. The Conqueror brings his personal guard into the battle. 3-0 of his finest warriors. He will end this himself, but fate has other plans. As Mehmed's horse charges forward, an arrow finds its mark. The arrow hits the Sultan in the thigh. Mehmed screams, falls from his horse, his guards rush to shield him. The battle freezes for a single heartbeat. The Sultan is wounded, and into that moment of shock rides John Hunyadi with every man who can still fight. The counterattack becomes a charge. The charge becomes an avalanche, and the Ottoman army, which has conquered half the world, begins to break. Chaos, complete and total chaos. Sultan Mehmed II, Conqueror of Constantinople, is carried from the battlefield. His white robes red with blood. Around him, his personal guard forms a desperate shield. The sight of their sultan wounded shatters the Ottoman army like glass. Units that held firm for 3 weeks break in 3 minutes. The Janissaries turn and run. The irregulars throw down their weapons and flee. John Hunyadi sees the moment and seizes it. He orders every man who can stand to follow him, not to defend the walls, to attack the camp. They pour out of Beag, raid like a flood released. 7-0, 0 soldiers, 20 zeros, 0 peasants. They charge across the plain toward the massive Ottoman camp and set it ablaze. Fire spreads faster than fear. Tents ignite. Wagons burn, and then the powder magazines. When the flames reach them, the world explodes. The blast is heard 50 miles away. A pillar of fire rises into the sky like the wrath of heaven itself. Ottoman soldiers who survived the battle die in the inferno, thousands of them. The cannon parks catch fire. 300 bronze guns, including the great bombard, are abandoned. Some explode from the heat. The Ottoman fleet cuts anchor and sails south in panic. Half the ships collide, several sink. The rest flee downriver, leaving the army stranded. By evening, it is over. The army that once darkened horizons is gone, blown apart like smoke at dawn. 25,000 Ottoman dead. Another 20,000 drowned trying to cross the river. The rest fleeing south in complete disarray. The siege is broken. Belgrade stands. Europe stands. Inside the fortress, the defenders can barely comprehend what has happened. Giovanni of Capistrano kneels in the ruins of the cathedral and weeps from joy, from the overwhelming knowledge that they have witnessed something beyond human calculation. A miracle. John Hunyadi stands on the ramparts and watches the Ottoman army vanish, the white knight who has fought his entire life to hold back the tide. He knows what this means. The Ottomans will not return in his lifetime. The momentum of conquest has been broken on the walls of Belgrade. The bells begin to ring, not the frantic warning bells of siege, but the deep solemn peals of victory, church bells across Belgrade, then across Hungary, then across all of Christian Europe. When Pope Sixtus Roman III hears the news, he issues a decree. Let the church bells ring at noon every day in every church forever, so that all future generations will remember the day the few stood against the many. The cost was terrible. 5,000 Hungarian soldiers dead, 8,000 peasants who came to fight and never went home. Giovanni of Capistrano dies 3 months later from exhaustion and plague. John Hunyadi follows him to the grave within weeks, but they died free. They died victorious. They died knowing they had held the line when all the world said it could not be held. Sultan Mehmed returns to Istanbul in shame. The wound to his leg heals. The wound to his pride never does. He will campaign for another 25 years, but he will never again threaten Hungary because Belgrade taught him that some fortresses cannot be taken by force alone. That courage can outlast gunpowder, that faith can break armies, that the will of the few, united in purpose, can shatter the pride of empires. This was Europa Rise, where the past still rides.